April 2018, a young Norwegian student named Marie Ostbo journeyed to South Africa for a short holiday. 21-year-old Marie had been studying political science in France. She arrived in Cape Town and from there booked a tour to the scenic town of Sedgefield, 5 hours down the coast. Marie's tour group arrived in Sedgefield at 5:30 on Wednesday afternoon, April the 18th. The group was dropped off at Afro Vibe Backpackers, a popular stopover with young travellers. Located above a beach bar, Afro Vibe is a few meters from Maioli Beach, which edges into the Indian Ocean. At around 6:10, about 14 minutes after arrival, a couple who were part of the tour went for a walk on the beach. 5 minutes later, Marie followed. With winter now approaching, stormy weather is common this time of year. The wind began blowing and clouds rolled in from the sea. The young couple turned back, and as they approached the gap in the dunes that leads towards the backpackers, they saw Marie sitting some distance away, higher up on the dune. The couple left the beach, and Marie sitting alone, looking out towards the ocean. She was never seen again. Less than half an hour later, Marie's absence was noted. The tour group had gathered in the beach bar for dinner as planned. Calls to her phone went unanswered. Shortly afterwards, the tour guide went out to the beach and, seeing no one around, called the emergency number for the National Sea Rescue Service, which is prominently displayed on a board close to the beach. It was 11 minutes past 7 when the call was logged. Almost as soon as sea rescue arrived, they put out a call for help. While they searched the ocean, others would have to search the surrounding dunes and along the beach. By 7:30, a search was in full swing. A short while later, police arrived with search and rescue dogs. Police also set up camp at the beach bar to take statements from staff, Marie's companions, and the tour guide. The poor weather hampered efforts. The search party members could barely hear each other over the wind. Not long after midnight, searchers came upon a pair of white shoes, an iPhone, and a white cap. These items were lying far up the beach, above the waterline, somewhat scattered. The items were quickly shown to Marie's tour companions. They confirmed that the shoes and the phone were hers. The cap, however, was not. The search was called off at around 2 a.m., by which time conditions had made efforts futile. By first light, however, the search recommenced. By now, word of Marie's disappearance had spread, attracting more local volunteers. Search and rescue teams from other towns in the area joined in. So did fire departments from along the garden route. A helicopter was dispatched by SkyMed, a private travel insurance firm. Local media caught on to the story. So did the Norwegian media, which flew out crews to cover the story.
Hotellet Afro Vibe sammen med ei studievenninne.
Very interesting in this news. It's a big thing when Norwegians go missing in a foreign country, and it's automatically a big news back home. The people are afraid that something's happened with the girl.
Mostly they stood around and waited for updates. For the next 4 days, searchers combed the sea, the dunes, and the properties that line up along the beach. Apart from the shoes, phone and cap, no further trace of Marie has been found. On day 5, the police finally released a missing persons notice. By the week's end, the police and rescue services gave up on the official search. With official efforts now ended, from here on it would be up to chance or a witness coming forward to reveal what happened to Marie. These are the basic facts of Marie's disappearance. So, what happened to her? One possibility is foul play. South Africa has a notoriously high crime rate. For instance, according to police statistics, just over 19,000 people were murdered in the 2016-2017 reporting year, a rate of around 52 murders a day. But these numbers don't show much beyond the level of violent crime. They don't show that most murders are committed by people who know their victims, or that they happen in poorer areas of the country. Many involve alcohol and heated arguments which have simply gone too far. According to a recent docket analysis carried out by South African police, 8 out of 10 murder victims are men. Only 2 out of 10 are committed in the course of a robbery. Attacks by strangers are relatively uncommon. Sedgefield itself has its share of crime, mostly petty theft and burglary. Violent crime is rare, especially so along the Maoli Beach area, which is suburban and wealthy and enjoys the attention of private security firms. The beach itself is regarded by locals as safe. Dog walkers and fishermen regularly use the area. Even in bad weather, as experienced when Marie disappeared, a few hardy dog walkers and fishermen will likely be out on the beach. The beach bar has cameras facing onto the parking lot and also onto the beach entrance itself. Indeed, the beach bar's cameras reportedly captured a man accompanied by his dog walking onto the beach from the parking lot. The cameras also recorded a fisherman leaving the parking lot and heading onto the beach at around the time Marie vanished. The same camera also recorded Marie herself, walking the approximately 100 meters from the bar to the beach. She was alone. On her own, Marie would have been vulnerable should an attacker have appeared. However, the proximity of the beach to the bar and the houses overlooking the beach itself would have made an assault on Marie a high-risk endeavour. Even more challenging would have been forcing Marie to leave the beach unseen. The beach access path was covered by a camera and was visible from the bar itself. Besides, by this time of the evening, a security guard is on duty. An attacker could have left by sea, but boats are seldom launched from Maoli. Only sea rescue ever makes use of it. Rough seas and strong currents make it unsuitable for non-emergency launches. A boat would almost certainly have been noted by the young couple or others in the area. Carrying or forcing Marie over the dunes would also have been difficult. Some of the houses are only used in season, but others are occupied all year round. Besides, the thick, soft sand and steep incline would make hiking over the dune difficult, especially with a reluctant or unconscious captive. 2 other parking lots lead off the beach, the closest 500 meters away. Both are only accessible via a steep flight of steps leading up the dune cliffs. The closest alternative parking area is at the Sedgefield Lagoon mouth, half a kilometer down the beach. However, cars are often parked there as people stop to watch the sunset or take in the view. The other is in full view of surrounding houses and only reached by an extremely steep, long flight of steps. Like the beach bar parking lot, neither offers a discreet or easy way to secretly remove a person from the beach. Given the low level of violent crime in the area, together with the high likelihood of witnesses, it seems unlikely that Marie fell victim to an assault or abduction. No suspicious people were reported, or any unusual activity of any kind. It's not to say it was impossible for foul play to be behind Marie's disappearance. However, the likelihood of her being spirited off the beach without her assailant or assailants being seen is low. Another theory being suggested is that Marie entered the water, perhaps to take photographs, only to have her feet swept out from under her by the water, resulting in her being washed out to sea. It was high tide when Marie went to the beach. The seashore is shallow and flat, with few rocky outcrops to climb and slip on. Marie was dressed in jeans and a t-shirt, so it seems unlikely she would have walked any distance into the surf. The water would have been icy cold and unpleasant, even if she just wanted to get her feet wet. Initial reports suggested that her camera, especially bought for the trip, was missing, but police later clarified that it was found in her room at the backpackers. Her smartphone too was found, as mentioned previously, further up the beach with her shoes. So if Marie went to the water, it wasn't to take photographs. Had she ended up in the sea, her chances of survival were slim. Strong rip currents frequently pull swimmers out to sea. even in the tourist season during the summer months when lifeguards are present. In 2015, a German tourist drowned off Maioli Beach. He's one of many. The presence of rescuers does not guarantee that a drowning victim's body will be recovered. In 2012, a Korean tourist, 23-year-old Dae Jun-yu, went swimming, accompanied by a friend. The two men quickly got into difficulty. Lifeguards were able to rescue Yu's companion, but Yu himself was never seen again. As with Marie's disappearance, Sea Rescue searched extensively to find the Korean or his body, but no trace of him has ever been found. The same year, 17-year-old Jos van Kerkhoff went swimming off the same beach with his two cousins. The three young men were standing in the waves around chest deep when a wave lifted them off their feet. Jos's two cousins struggled to regain their footing and fought their way back to the beach against a powerful rip current. Jos, however, was unable to reach standing depth again. A rescue was launched within minutes of his disappearance. Sea Rescue, and even the local police dive squad was called in. Jos, like the Korean tourist, had vanished without a trace. The strong currents may play a role in drowning victims who are never found. Another possible explanation is the presence of sharks. These include great whites, which are plentiful off the South African coast. Around the time of Marie's disappearance, Sea Rescue put out a warning of increased shark activity and for the public to stay out of the water. Sharks are aggregating in this area at this time, as they have done in previous years, the Sea Rescue warning said. They came to take advantage of naturally occurring prey like seals and fish close to the shore. Just 4 days after Marie's disappearance, a paddle skier was ploughing through the waves of Plettenberg Bay. Seemingly out of nowhere, a great white appeared. The 2.5-meter shark bit a huge chunk off the board and knocked the man into the sea. He managed to swim safely to shore, emerging from the ordeal shaken but unscathed. The high presence of sharks in the area therefore add to the probability of a drowning victim's body not being recovered. Returning now to Marie herself. This is the last known photo taken of her at the Backpackers, shortly before the walk to the beach. She's dressed in jeans and a print t-shirt. It would have been growing cold as she set out, and it's difficult to fathom a reason for her walking into the water. As it stands, she was not seen entering the water. On a cold night, with a storm gathering, going for a swim would be unpleasant, if not unthinkable. Yet, the authorities appear to think that's exactly what she did. They searched the land around the beach, but much of the effort was directed to the sea. There's a third possible explanation for Marie's disappearance, that she entered the water willingly and alone, that her intention all along was to disappear into the ocean and end her life. Early reports on her disappearance make note of a friend with whom she was traveling, perhaps the person who took this image. However, we know very little about who this companion is, whether a friend, casual acquaintance, or someone she was close to has not been clarified. Even the gender of this companion is unknown. Even more curious, neither her companion or companions made statements to the media following Marie's absence. This is unusual in the age of social media and the 24/7 news cycle. All the media focus was on finding Marie. Her family and friends back home gave interviews and made appeals for her safe return. But throughout, her travel companions appear to have remained silent. Adding to the intrigue is the speed of the official response. Police responded within 30 minutes of Marie's vanishing. It appears that from the outset, the assumption was that something bad had befallen her. It is possible to speculate that something occurred between Marie and her travel companion, that the group dynamic of the travelers was disturbed in some way, perhaps an argument or a lover's quarrel. This, however, is pure conjecture, but it could explain why Marie chose to go to the beach alone, and possibly venture into the water dressed in nothing more than jeans and a t-shirt. Perhaps, angry or upset, she walked to the water's edge, and with no consideration to her own safety, walked into the ocean. Maybe she wanted to make a point, to send a message to her companion as an indication of her distress. Statistically, women are more likely to attempt suicide than men. Men, on the other hand, are far more likely to succeed in killing themselves. In Europe, where Marie is from, 4 men die by suicide for every woman, a phenomenon psychology researchers into suicide call the gender paradox. It could be Marie walked into the sea, planning to return later, wet and upset to convey a message. Perhaps she had no intention of returning at all. All this is speculation, of course. Marie could have been abducted, or as Facebook rumours have it, hitchhiked across South Africa to the far north of the country. Still, it's odd that none of her travel companions have said anything about her disappearance, and that the immediate response after she vanished was to launch a search. Could it be that her companions told the first responders that they thought she might have done something to put herself in jeopardy? We know nothing of Marie's state of mind on that windswept evening, or of her relationships with the people with whom she was travelling. In time, we hope to follow this up in a further video, and to explore Marie's relationships with the people who saw her last.